Hey, what's going on, guys? Baseball Stud 294 here. Now today it's storming, it's raining out, it's crummy, so I figured this would be a great opportunity to go ahead and respond to the questions that you guys posted in my Airsoft Update 2 video that I uploaded a couple weeks ago. But before I get into that, I do have some gameplay in the background. Now I know it's not Airsoft, but it's something kind of fun. It's a survival game, obviously. It's DayZ modded, so it's like the DayZ mod, I should say. It's called Infestation Survivor Stories, and the overall premise of the game is you go around and obviously you try and survive. You find food, water, drinks, weaponry, you can find tools, you can find building materials so you can craft things. So you can team up with friends, or you can go against just solo against the AI and other players in PvP. So if you know nothing about the DayZ mod, which has taken basically online gaming by storm, this is basically the same sort of idea. It's a little bit easier. It does suffer, as you saw there, from some pop-in of the textures. I'm playing it on Ultra right now, so it's not horribly graphically demanding, but it does require a semi-decent graphics card, and at least I think it's 4 or 5 gigs of RAM. So if you guys are interested, I do have a word of caution. There's a lot of negative information going on about this game, and rightfully so. There's rumors that the dev team has completely abandoned the game. They changed the name a while ago to try and, I think, kind of start anew and cover up some of the bad decisions they made prior. So I've had the game well over a year, so before this whole controversy started coming to light. But if you are interested in it and you don't mind the occasional hackers, and again the fact that the dev team may or may not be working on this game anymore, it's available on Steam. It's around $5, I think, still. So it's not a bad buy if you can tolerate some of this stuff. If you want something just to pick up, you want it to be cheap, and you like something like the DayZ, then you can go ahead and check it out. But again, just be careful with it. So jumping right into it, I'm going to read the questions and respond. Obviously, I have them pulled up on my tablet here. They're in no particular order, so I'm just going to read from the top and work my way down. So ASAP said, "What's your Steam?" My Steam name is GunsBlazing29 with 2 S's. So if you want to play any Steam games with me, go ahead and hit me up, and I will be more than happy to play with you guys. So Matt Victoria said, "More Airsoft videos, more Cry Precision, and more real gear, etc." I would definitely love to get some Cry Precision stuff. It's probably my favorite brand and my favorite pattern for multicam, or a company that makes the multicam pattern. I know that it's pretty expensive, and actually a lot of the camouflage that I'm purchasing now, I don't really have much of a say in it. It's based on what my team wants to do. So whether it be Cry or True Spec or anything like that, or Emerson, it's basically based on the team. So if one of us gets it, we all get it, so that way our camouflage matches perfectly. So, but I'll definitely have a lot more Airsoft videos coming, so stay tuned for that. The Florida Airsoft group asked for the Q&A, what was your first gun? My first gun was actually my AMA CQBR, or Airsoft Megastore Armory CQBR, and the reason I purchased that was I didn't know a whole lot about Airsoft. Not that it's necessarily a bad gun, but I was pretty much infatuated with the fact that it was metal, it had blowback, and you know, it was a dark earth color, so I thought that was cool. It had a functioning bolt catch, and it had an upgraded tight bore barrel already in it, and it had a MOSFET. So I was like, man, this is probably the best gun I could find right there. So I was completely blinded to everything else, so I went and purchased that. And I mean, after getting it, it was okay, but there's definitely better guns out there, and as you guys have seen, I've done a couple updates on it, and I've put a lot of heavy upgrades into it to make it a better performing gun. So, but that was my first purchase for Airsoft. Adam Johnson asked, what does it take to join your team? I'm assuming you're asking my Airsoft team, and honestly, there's not really anything particular that we are looking for, other than the fact that we're just looking for serious players. And you have to be, I believe it's either 16 or 17 years old, just for safety reasons and for the ability to travel. So, in a lot of fields, when you're younger than 16, it requires a parental consent to play, at least out here. So, for that matter, you have to be over the age of, or at least 16 or older. So, but other than that, I mean, as you guys know, I've talked about it before, but we have regular team meetings. Actually, just this last Saturday, we all went out to Perkins in the morning, and we just kind of ate and talked and just had some fun. So, kind of some group bonding stuff to get everybody, you know, to work together well, to have fun, to get to know each other a little bit better, because we still still have new guys joining. So you're expected to show up to that. We'll put you through a 2-week trial period, so we'll make sure that it'll be during a time where there's going to be games as well as a meeting scheduled. So we want to make sure that you show up and we'll see what you got out on the field. So if you can take things seriously and you don't mess around and you are doing what you're told, you're working as a unit, working with your squad, you're learning, you're consistent and persistent, you hustle, things like that, and you have a good attitude about you, you are more than welcome to join our team, and we want to have you. So if you guys are in the area, the Iowa area that is, go ahead and message me or contact me, and I'll get you guys set up with all of that information. So moving on, let's see. Mitch Jeremy says, do you like the new digital style camo patterns or the classic tricolor style? And great content. Well, thank you, Mitch. I appreciate that. But as far as camo goes, as I've mentioned, multicam is probably my favorite out of all of the camouflage patterns. So I know it's newer, but it kind of looks like the old blotchy styled or ERDL kind of style patterns. But I really love it when it gets dirty. So when it gets some dust and dirt on it. Unfortunately, here out in Iowa, we don't have deserts, and I would really love to play in the desert to get that sandy look to your camo and to your guns and stuff like that. I feel like multicam looks honestly the best when it gets that sand wear to it. But as far as this goes, I'm a fan of the classic or the older ERDL or the desert tricolor look. I feel like if you add those, like where ERDL, like the old woodland is what that is, or the desert tricolor pants, and then add like a condor soft shell top, I think that looks awesome. It looks spec ops, it looks modern and a little bit old, so it's definitely cool. So I'd have to give it to the older style camo patterns right now. Great question. Gareth, I really feel bad if I pronounced your name wrong. Albert, he said, great videos, man, keep it up. And thank you, sir. I really appreciate that. Trent Dunwich says, stupid PC. But yes, Q&A, have you considered running Polar Stars? They are badass. Great vids, by the way. Thank you, dude. But Trent, yeah, I have considered running Polar Stars. Actually, Blake, the team lead or the actual head guy, his call sign is Hollywood, as I mentioned before, he wants a lot of us to start trying to look into Polar Stars because one of our rival teams out here, they almost solely run Polar Stars. And you know, I'm a little bit skeptical to it. I understand the benefits to it, I understand what it can bring to the table, but I'm not a fan of having to carry around a air tank, and I'm not a fan of having to have a remote coil connecting the gun to the remote or to the air tank. So I did paintball for a while, and that's something I had to put up with at that point. In Airsoft, I was hoping to get away from it and get more into the realism of it. So again, I'm not completely shutting it down, but as of right now, I like the magazines, I like the batteries, so probably not going to be getting a Polar Star in the immediate future. Let's see. Blacks with some symbols, he just says, I like the idea of a Q&A, so thank you, sir. Bob Farrell says, also you should do more gameplay commentaries like Battlefield 3 or 4 and Modern Warfare 2. I hope to do that. I know some other big YouTubers kind of mix in game commentaries with Airsoft stuff, so let me know if that's something you guys want to see. It does take a lot more work to do that unless you're going to live stream or record your commentary as you're actually playing, but I don't know if I have the actual I guess mental capacity, I should say, for lack of a better term, to actually play and record at the same time. So we'll see. If you guys want that a lot, I could definitely look into it. Jay Hobson says, what's the best upgrade to do to an M4? Please answer. Honestly, that's not a definite clear-cut answer to that, but my recommendations are, when you get it, the first things you should look at are, start with the hop-up and barrel. So if you have a plastic hop-up or a two-piece hop-up, I would definitely look into purchasing yourself a one-piece metal hop-up and get a better bucking. So, and typically the buckings come with nubs as well. So the G&G buckings are great. I know they're probably one of the best out there for the medium to low price range, so those are something you can always get. They'll work in almost every gun for the most part, and they come with the bucking and the nub, obviously, so that would be a great starter thing. Also, after you've replaced that, you can look into a Type 4 barrel, so anything with a 6.05 millimeter or less would be considered a Type 4, so I would look into getting something like a 6.03, and that paired with your new hop-up or new bucking, I think it will work wonders on you. The wonders for you, I should say. The last thing I would say would be looking to getting a better motor. So a lot of the guns, whether it be a G&G, JG, SRCs, things like that, the beginner guns, they come with pretty junk motors unless you're lucky. So I would look into getting either a high torque or maybe something mixed with the high torque and a higher speed motor to kind of help pull back some of those higher grade springs. The JGs, a lot of times they like to come with an M110 or even sometimes an M120 spring, getting your feet per second up to 400, but your rate of fire really suffers with the crappy motor they include. So I would say look into a tight bore barrel, a better hop up or at least a better bucking, and then a better motor. You can also get a better battery, get a 9.6. A lot of times they'll come with an 8.4. Increasing that to 9.6 will help that motor pull back the spring and will also increase your rate of fire. So those would be my recommendations for you, Jay. Andrew Myers says, sorry to hear about your computer, but his question is, why and how did you start Airsoft? Honestly, that's a really long question to answer, but the most simplistic way to answer it is I did paintball first, and I thought that was fun. I didn't know a whole lot about Airsoft. I just kind of assumed it was the paintball or the Airsoft guns that you buy in like Walmart's or Shields or Dick's Sporting Goods, any sporting goods store really, and didn't really understand that there was some better stuff out there. But after learning that there are, I really got into Airsoft, and paintball started kind of dying for me just because it's expensive. The paintballs are expensive. Getting air is expensive, and it wasn't quite as realistic for me. Plus, I didn't like getting covered in paint and having my stuff get ruined. So, for that matter, I got into Airsoft, and the why is because it's as realistic as I thought it could be without actually shooting a real rifle. So, yes, I mean they're plastic BBs, and yes, you get younger kids and older guys playing with you that don't take it seriously, but if you find yourself a good team and you get out to some of these milsim events, it's very, very realistic. And I know a lot of real operators are using some of the professional training systems or airsoft guns to train, so they're almost 1-to-1 ratios of the real gun, and weight wise they're 1-to-1 ratios, so you can't really beat that. So that, and just the fact that it's fun. I mean, Airsoft is really, really fun. If you can go out with a group of friends, I cannot think of a better time out there. So that's kind of how and why I got started. Austin Small said, yeah, man, do a Q&A. What is your favorite site to order from? Honestly, I would say Evike is Evike. I want to say Evike, but I know they always pronounce it Evike on their promotional videos. So I would say Evike just because Airsoft GI is always sold out of almost everything. If you go to their guns and just kind of scroll through them, they have like 3, 4, or 5 pages of sold out guns and then 1 or 2 pages of actual guns that are in stock. And that really annoys me. They need to either work on better logistics, better in stocks, I should say, or figure something out, or at least take down the guns that you don't have. So that can be annoying. But I would say Evike's got it hands down for me. And then let's see, he also says, I like the question favorite platform. I'm curious, keep the vids coming. So I'm guessing you're asking what kind of platform is my favorite platform from an airsoft gun. Obviously I like the M4s, I like the modularity, I like all of the upgrades that you can do to the version 2 gearbox, but lately I've been leaning towards the Scar. I don't know why. I just really love my Scar Heavy. I kind of put an extended barrel on it and a suppressor, so it's acting more of a DMR now. So I know they have a Mad Bull SSR conversion, so you can actually extend the barrel length or the receiver to make it more look like the SSR, so I'm considering purchasing that as well. So as of right now, my favorite platform has to be the SSR style or the Scar platforms. I really think they look awesome, and they're a little bit different than the M4 platforms and the AK-47 platforms you see out on the field all the time. So Johnny Lee says, it's okay. All computers have problems. I love your videos. Thank you, sir. I really appreciate that. Austin Smite says, oh, and yes, questions. If you could go to any milsim game, which would it be? Honestly, I've always loved the Operation Lion's Claw. Those have kind of been the historic for me. I've always watched those videos, and when I first saw Airsoft on YouTube, that's kind of the first video that I saw. So for me, I have a soft spot for the Lion's Claw games. So I would definitely consider going to one of those. I would also enjoy going to some of the Broken Home games. Those always look cool, and having the helicopter gun runs. Those that looks so sick. So one of those two would be my top 2 choices. Bob Farrell says Q&A would be cool. Great video. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Let's see. Austin Smite says, not gonna lie, I'm a fan of the black shirt. What kind is it? And he's talking about the shirt that I was wearing in my Airsoft Update 2 video. That was just a simple true spec combat quarter zip shirt. So they make them in obviously black, olive drab, multicam, and I think they also have them in one other pattern, and I apologize, I can't remember what it is right now. But yeah, it's just true spec, so you can go ahead and check them out. They're on eBay. You can also find them online, and most Airsoft stores have them as well. So the last question that I have is again by Mitchell Grabble. He was the guy that actually suggested calling this a getting to know me as opposed to a Q&A. So thank you to you, sir. I really appreciate that feedback. But he says, what are the other hobbies that you have other than Airsoft? Oh, and you should title the video Getting to Know Me. Sounds a little better than Q&A, just my opinion. But some other hobbies that I have are I actually love the water. I love swimming, and I love being outdoors. I also play baseball, hence the name Baseball Stud 294. I like cars. I've done some upgrades to my cars, not anything extensive. I just have a Grand Am, which originally were some of the first videos that I posted on this channel, so you guys may or may not have seen those. But yeah, I mean, I play guitar. I have an acoustic guitar here right now. I like to play songs, do covers, sing, things like that. So some typical guy stuff, you know. But other than that, guys, those are the only questions that were posted. So I really appreciate you guys taking the time to think of some questions. And you know, it means a lot to know that you guys are interested in knowing more about me. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. I'm going to leave the game running, so you guys can finish watching out the commentaries and let me know what you think. Let me know if you guys would be interested in doing something like this again. And if not, you know, you don't need to say anything. I'll just take silence as your answer. So as always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and be sure to stay tuned for any more Airsoft related content. So take care, guys.